think episode number 21 or 22 of the commongear.com podcast. We did take a week off last week, give everybody a chance to catch their breath. And that was a great segment in terms of our focus there. And then, tell you the truth, gentlemen, there's been a lot. I mean, in terms of our views, the second most recent one about the luxury sedans with the Lexus LS600H and the Audi V8 and the Maserati actually been one of our more popular shows so far. So in any case, let's hope this one does the same. So we were looking at overland vehicles. We noticed this week there have been several. I mean, we know these are pricey buys at any level, but I mean, these are some crazy prices we're seeing on custom build overlanders. So Bring a Trailer had this stunning Ford F550 Super Duty that is just, I mean, it kind of takes your breath away when you look at just how well done this is. $353,000 sale price. This is an aftermarket build. So basically this was already a massively expensive truck when it was new. And then it went to Adrenaline Industries out of Utah, who converted to what they call an expedition style camper. So, I mean, of course you have the ridiculous Power Stroke diesel, which, you kind of have to have at this point. Not only for the torque, but also for the durability factor of that go anywhere. If you're committing to overlanding at this level where you're going to spend this much money and drive a rig like this, you really want to have the most durable engine you can find. And then they just kind of went to town. I mean, again, this was a loaded Super Duty to begin with, so you were starting out with a pretty nice truck. So it has all the top shelf features, but then I mean, look at this. Look at this cabin on the back. It's just absolutely stunning. Very high-end finishes, everything you could want in terms of your lifestyle needs, refrigerator, cooking surfaces, et cetera, et cetera. It's got a full speaker, full stereo system with subwoofer, bathroom, sleeping quarters, obviously, and then all the requisite upgrades from an electrical standpoint, from the generators and additional support for your electrical features. So just an absolute beast of a truck, limited slip rear end. It's got everything you need. So, I mean, I think what it comes down to with these, if you're looking in this market, looking at this price level, you're just kind of, what has the best packaging? What is going to be the best overall offer? And I don't know enough about these to say if 353K is a great number. I mean, I think it's serious money no matter which way you look at it, and you have plenty of options at that price. But I don't often see the conversions at this end of the scale done to a Super Duty pickup. So I think that's, to me, is the most intriguing selling point. That if you're not really sold on the Sprinter, they're not really sold on a Unimog, you buy one of these and you're kind of, you're not really worried about that obscure part failure that could sideline you for weeks if you're in the middle of nowhere. So I can't really judge whether or not this is a fair price, but if I was an overlander with an unlimited budget and wanted some predictability that, baked into my expedition, this might make a lot of sense. What do you guys think?
Love it. Huge Ford guy. You guys know that. Jeff, go down to the very end of the pictures.
Yeah.
Really cool truck. Honestly, this one, I'm going to be biased. I've already looked at the other two. This one's going to be my favorite. I think this is a really cool and unique platform to put one of these on. If you go back, look at it, it's a family guy. Like, he's enjoying it. Go back maybe 3 or 4 photos. So it starts life as an F550 6.7 diesel Lariat chassis, extended wheelbase. I think it's a 192-inch wheelbase, which is pretty crazy. Oh. If you go back, even has a couple pictures of it fresh off the lot. So getting this thing right away, I mean, this is an $100,000 truck.
Wow.
So you're starting right off. You're basically in at 6 figures with your sales tax and everything combined. There it is at the dealer. So we're talking about equipment. I mean, this thing's totally kitted up. I don't know if he has a bigger fuel tank, but I was looking in here, 65-gallon water tank. There's a waste tank in there, gray water tank, 45-gallon. Plenty of electronics. There's HVAC, onboard generator. So this is really something that you could really take far, far out for an extended period of time. And another thing I like about it, the fact it's an F550 chassis with 1,000+ foot-pounds of torque, you could easily hook up a trailer, tow out your cars, go out to Idaho, Utah, Colorado, camp there, overland, and then you also have, you know, your GT3 in the back as well, which is just the coolest thing I think you could probably ever do as a vehicle enthusiast. I mean, seriously, for a second, picture doing that with your favorite sports car hooked up. And honestly, 353,000, I'm sure it cost the guy a hell of a lot more to make it.
That's a fair point.
You know, like I said, guys, you're starting off at basically 100,000 for the truck. Those wheels, call it 15, 20 grand. You know, right there alone, the front bumper, call that 5 grand. All those lights, I'm pretty sure it said somewhere it has $25,000 of lights, of aftermarket LED spotlights. So the wheels, the lights, the bumper, I mean, you're already up at 50 grand. So when you look at stuff like that, I think this build is very, look at the guy. I love his photos too.
Yeah.
He shows you what you can do with it. And this thing is just full of opportunity. And at the end of the day, sick to drive because you have that 6.7 American diesel in badass. This thing's badass. And it's in the best color, antimatter blue.
That is a great color.
And it's rare. Last thing I'll say, it is rare for the most part to find a F550 chassis, diesel, 193-inch wheelbase, crew cab, which is so rare, and a Lariat, heated and cooled seats in a fucking dump truck. That's what this is. It's a dump truck at the end of the day. So
that's a great point.
That is so awesome.
That is true. It is.
Oh, look at that.
40,000 pound gooseneck tow capacity. Not that you could use a gooseneck on here, but just to give you an idea of what this thing can do.
Yeah. Are those fender flares stock, Lars?
On the F550 in 2022, yeah, they had widened front fender flares.
No shit.
And you know what's crazy? He just replaced the dually with one fat ass rear tire instead of having two. I guess it makes sense because you probably don't want a dually if you're going to be off-roading.
Yeah, you know, this almost looks like I mean, if you squinted at this, it almost looks like a horse trailer.
Dude,
like,
it does.
I just wonder if he bought like a horse trailer body.
Well, no, if you go back to those initial pictures,
oh no, he built it custom.
It's all, right, dude. It's all, dude. This is probably $500,000, $550.
Yeah.
I mean, look at custom.
You're building an apartment in the back of this truck.
Yeah. Yeah, John, what are your thoughts on this? I've been kind of talking for a while. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not like super overlandy person, but this is just such an impressive, you know, this is a piece of work in the kindest sense, in that, like, in complimentary sense. It's so well done. It's so well put together. I mean, it's worth every dollar, you know, as you guys said, like, the amount of money put into this truck. You know, this is like, and I wouldn't call it a steal, but you're getting a really good deal on this. Basically, this custom built, beautiful. Even like the inside of the camping part is amazing. It's probably nicer than most people's like places of living in there. You're getting a lifetime of experiences if you use this properly. I mean, it's worth the 353,000 is worth the lifetime experience if you properly use this beautiful truck, Lars. As you mentioned, you know, color's great. If I was going to overland, this would be at the top of the list.
Yeah. Hey guys, Jeff, I just saw in these comments, people are actually kind of shitting on it a little bit.
Yeah,
so
I'm noticing that too.
I guess it's 450 new. What do you guys think? You just get a new one? If I was spending the money, honestly, yeah, maybe I would want it too.
Yeah, I mean, I've never understood the phenomenon of like wanting something right now. Like, that's something I mean, I guess that's a rich person problem, but even if I was, I don't think I would be that consumed with the urgency factor. But and that seems to be what some folks are saying, that you know, if you're at this level, why not just get a new one? Which I definitely get. Interesting. I'm curious who this guy is. He's got his own, apparently has his own ranch.
I think he's the buyer. I think the seller is the builder on this project.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So so they are probably, you know,
Yeah, this thing, yeah, maybe it is unreasonable. I mean, that is the thing we have to acknowledge. It is very unreasonable. It's a very small market. It's kind of crazy to buy this, but for the people who've got it going on, I mean, it's a sick option.
Yeah, it
You can do
is.
it. Do it.
I know. I have a hard time faulting it. Whether you like at the same time, if you're using it as intended, why the hell wait? Just go now. Get the adventure going. You've got. I mean, I kind of get it at a very at my peasant grade level. Last summer, my LX450, I wanted to drive it on the because I kind of knew we might be leaving, so I was like, I wanted to drive it on the beach on Martha's Vineyard, and I just pushed to get that thing done. Like I just wanted it ready to go because we had that trip planned. I could see somebody else who's got 3 weeks with their kids. They got an awesome trip around Yosemite or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, why put off the
this is for this is these are the vehicles, and this one in particular is like the perfect for the person that has that multi-million-dollar vacation home in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Like that's the type of vehicle this is. And they can take it out to the backcountry out there.
Yeah.
I also am curious, like if there's money in building these things.
There's got to be.
It's just like all this stuff, right? Like the the 911, the Singer conversions. Like there's just that they cost so much to make, but I mean the fact that they're still getting 6 figures over what they got into, which is just mind blowing.
Yeah, it really is.
Anyway, all right. Well, I think we all agree that this thing is pretty sick, and if money were no object for any one of us, we probably would definitely consider wasting almost $500,000 on something like this. But let's look at some more affordable options. Hop on over here. Well, we'll come back to that. Here's a Cars and Bids. This is a 2020 Sprinter Tommy Bahama edition, which if you wanted to flex a little bit more about your ability to go park by the beach and put your awning up, I guess you go for the Tommy Bahama edition.
I actually love Tommy Bahama, man.
So do I. Oh, guilty as charged.
For me.
Yeah, I know. I've actually I can't throw shade of this because there's way too much of their stuff in my closet. So
there you go.
But I didn't know this was a thing. I mean, good for Tommy Bahama. This is kind of a cool marketing tactic. I never
like the Eddie Bauer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the Eddie Bauer has stuck around. People still seek those out. But this is this is kind of your classic Sprinter van. It's not uncommon to see these, in your day to day. 4-wheel drive. It's got a turbo diesel V6. I don't know if this is a derivative of the. No, this is a Mercedes motor. I didn't know if they were sharing like the Pentastar with Chrysler or something like that. So, not nearly as over the top as what we just looked at, but it's also over $200,000 cheaper. And aside from the space, you're still getting a lot of the camping lifestyle upgrades. But I will say, after seeing that Ford, I kind of look at this and I'm just like, man, this thing can't go nearly as many places.
Exactly
right?
What I was thinking.
Yeah,
and it's
thinking the same exact thing.
Because I mean, when you consider everything you're spending and all the comforts of home, blah blah blah, you're kind of like, well, yeah, but then I can't. I can kind of take this to tailgates and to the beach, and and that's great, but God, it'd be really sweet to just drive this thing off the beaten path for days at a time, and you just can't do that with this. So then it's almost like, well, if you're gonna go this way, why buy one that has such an obvious limitation? Then I think you're saying your goal with this is more to spend time in campgrounds, right? And to have something that you enjoy traveling on the interstate with versus just living like pretty close to off the grid for days or weeks at a time. So, it's different strokes for different folks. There's no doubt this is a very high end cockpit. It looks extremely comfortable. The Tommy Bahama stitching, take it or leave it, but it's kind of cool. I mean, it gives it. I mean, if you had a beach bungalow somewhere, this thing is the perfect accessory to park outside at a beach campfire or something like that. Probably would get through the sand okay when the tide is out. Might upgrade the tires a little bit so you have a little more traction in those situations. But yeah, it really begs the question in terms of what your priority is. But you look at this, it kind of doesn't surprise you that empty nesters probably love these things because they don't really want to commit to this lifestyle to the point that they're buying the Ford, but they want to feel like they're kind of scratching that itch a little bit. So this is a nice, kind of a safe space, if you will. What do you guys think?
This is a letdown for me after looking at that Ford.
Sure.
This is kind of the senior citizen, we're gonna trek, we're gonna be snowbirds from the Northeast and go down to Florida, and this is what we kind of take with us to do longer road trips. I mean, I've spent time out west and I've seen like overlandy versions of sprinters, and they're amazingly well done. I mean, this is a well done vehicle, guys, don't get me wrong, but like it doesn't move the needle. It doesn't scream like this is special. This is really cool. It's got a lot of neat stuff in it that's really well put together, but it doesn't get your heart racing, for someone like maybe someone else, great. But I'd take that Ford that we just looked at over this any day of the week.
Yeah, this thing is honestly kind of, so I feel like there's two classes of these. You guys know those older, they really went hard with these in like the early 2000s, those 2500 GMC Savannah conversion vans with the higher roof.
Yeah.
And you could get them in the passenger van or you could get them in the sleeper. The passenger ones were sick. They had all the pilot chairs lined up. Mm-hmm. I feel like with these, you kind of have to go one or the other. And this one, it's like, it's not enough to be like really a camper. Like you could sleep on that pull-out couch, but it's not like it has a bed. But it also isn't like a passenger van for, 6, 7, 8 people to be in.
Right.
And then you also bring up the limitations of, you could take this on a dirt trail for sure. Put some upgraded tires on there. I'm sure it wouldn't be that bad. But it's not necessarily like the off-roading vehicle, But on the contrary, I want with the F550, right? So this one's on like some stocky all-season street tires. But what are you going to be doing? You have your camper full of stuff, and you're off-roading like in Utah, all right, we're going up with all your freaking shit in the back. You got ketchup spilling everywhere and plates, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think to your point, Lars, this is kind of one of those purchases that is a great moneymaker for this. To me, makes more sense from a business model because you're getting people to spend a ton of money on something that at the end of the day,
really not that crazy.
Yeah, I guess even from a manufacturing standpoint, it's probably not that nuts to build one of these things, and
whereas the F550, that is a serious operation,
right? Yeah. That's what I mean. I'd love to know kind of what the balance sheet works out to on something like that, because that is such a comprehensive build. Whereas these things for the likes of Sprinter, they're taking a product they already have, right, which is the basic Sprinter van. And I think maybe this is a high top or something to that effect, have a little more clearance inside. So I'm not saying it totally, you're not just buying the cheap van.
No, this thing is probably still like 70, 80 grand.
Yeah, but you're kind of getting everybody ginned up for that lifestyle, but you're not really giving them the tools to do so. You're giving them the tools to live in a van, but you're not giving them the tools to live in that van truly off the grid. You're still kind of living and dying by the campsites and parking lots you find, things like that.
This is a golf trip vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just kind of
good call. This is a record. This isn't it's a recreational vehicle, man. It's an RV. The other
Yeah.
one's not an RV.
So I know we're
Recreation.
we're transitioning quickly here, but I think it's important because you're seeing 139,000. We're quick on to see what the comments were. If
How much was this thing new?
let's see,
I don't know.
they sometimes include that.
Dude, wait,
Uh,
139. That's not bad.
Sometimes they include a attached.
I mean, think about it.
Sometimes there's like a build sheet or a window sticker, but I'm not
Right.
seeing it in this one. It's in the doc section if they do have it.
I'll just say this too, like
So okay, here we go.
one thing that doesn't do it for me too is with the Sprinter model, it's kind of dumpy. It's kind of got that little bit of a dumpy look to it.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not, John. It is not beautiful. That's for sure. All right, zoom in on the invoice.
Yeah, so this is 170,000.
180,000.
180,000 by the time you do the rest of this. So I mean, quite
like
nice.
190 with all that crap.
And it has 3,100 miles. So I mean, kudos to the buyer. They gave themselves a nice.
That's a steal. And think about it. When people those older Florida folks retire, what do they do?
Exactly.
They'll buy. Some of them will buy, an SL 500, brand new and off the lot, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, love that. But it's like, this is, pretty damn close,
Yeah, I think there's going to be for years to come, Lars. I think there's going to be a great submarket for these things, right? Where they are just coming up constantly, and you can keep knocking the price down because there's a lot to maintain here. There's a lot that can break.
Yeah. So
not a cheap vehicle to live with long term by any means. And I think that's the way to buy one of these is to look at this. Our customer owned it for over a year, and you can see it was never used. Yeah, I mean, people buy these things with these. Like they think you're going to want to do all these incredible things with it, and they never do. And even though it's not the size of like a traditional motorhome, it's still the bigger vehicle you got to park somewhere. So not exactly convenient to live with.
Yeah, dude, this thing is like brand new. They lost speed on this thing really quick, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, what a yeah, just kind of it's
like barely got through an oil change.
Exactly. So
think about that. That is not a lot of driving.
So this is a great buy for the current buyer. They gave themselves a nice discount just by waiting out this first owners. But let's jump over to this one, which is kind of in the middle of both of these. So 87 Unimog.
Wow.
I love Unimogs.
I know. So this is the one that gets me because you're talking 175,000. So you're kicking up by 45 grand over the Sprinter, but you're getting something that can actually go anywhere, but you're not spending Ford F Series money at 350,000. So I just love this thing because like you guys, I've already always loved Unimog. I've actually always had this very dangerous spot in my brain that said, if I came across a project Unimog, I wouldn't hesitate. I mean, I have nowhere to put it. I have they have to be miserable to drive in the version we would find potentially like a lot of municipalities use these things. There's a company that basically was importing them, equipping them with plows and basic highway department needs. And so you can still find every now and again they pop up at like the municipal highway department auction, and people get sick deals on some of these things. And that's the one I've always wanted to buy, and just like, what would you do with it? But in this form, I mean, this is so beautifully converted inside. I mean, it makes use of space really well. Again, it's not nearly as expansive or luxurious as what we looked at, but I mean, for something that actually can kind of go anywhere you want it to go, I mean, I think it's got style for days. I mean, I think the Unimog, it's just, I mean, maybe people don't like it, but I think the fact that the G-Wagon sells so well is a clear indication that people like the burly military grade Mercedes truck, just dumbed down enough for civilian use, like that there's actually something about it that works for folks. So I think they're really smart buys as a truck, as a massive plaything that will hold its value long term. Obviously, the one downside to these is you get back into the, the chance of a part or component failure you cannot easily remedy, which I do think it is, no matter how burly or reliable these things are. I think that's always going to be in the back of your mind, that you could be deep in the wilderness somewhere and have a component failure that is really, just not stateside. So definitely want to buy one that's been sort of thoroughly gone through, which I'm sure this one has. I just, there's not a lot I would change on this one. And I think that compared to the other two, this is the one that just slices right down the middle for me, where I can justify the money. And aside from the space shortfalls, it's probably not great for a family. But if it's just two of you or you and your dog, this is pretty darn tempting. What do you guys think?
I am in love.
Yeah.
I love Unimogs. Actually, it's funny, Jeff. My brother sent me a text say there's a Unimog down the street from that is for sale. So
Really?
I get Unimogs on the brain right now.
Wow.
I've always wanted this is what I mean. The Ford is more glamorous, I would say, but this is still pretty. This is a great piece of kit. Well put together. The photos of the documentation of this build are really impressive. Interior is well done. I mean, for the price too. I mean, we're talking, under $200K for this camper conversion on this Unimog, and it's a hell of a deal. I mean, as you mentioned, Jeff, the one kind of downside potentially is, you get stuck in the wilderness somewhere and you got to try to find a weird part from Germany. But if you're doing this with a Unimog like that, you probably have the means to get that part and source and have someone bring it to you and install it. So I would not be too concerned on that. But it's a Unimog. I'm happy. I love this.
It's like a life-size Playmobil. I mean,
it is. It's a perfect way to put it. It is a life-size Playmobil.
Now we're going to see just how deep Lars' loyalty is to the Ford brand. Ford Motor Company.
It's. I'll be honest with you. It's really tough here, because this thing is absolutely phenomenal. The more I look through the pictures, the more I respect it. Jeff, honestly, you kind of smashed my own argument in my head, because I was actually sitting here thinking a benefit of this is 6-liter inline six turbo diesel for Mercedes. Before any of the emission stuff, before they had all these, diesel exhaust fluid filters and all the sensors that are monitoring your carbon output, this would actually be the safer bet with less electronics out in the wilderness. But you do raise a phenomenal point. I mean, if you're out there and your fuel pump dies, you're done.
Yeah,
you are done. But also in the Ford, if the engine and trans is fine, but say you're 300 miles from a town and it says key not detected. Key not detected. I mean, what do you do? So it's like kind of the toss up of the old, the old school and finding parts and the new gen electronics. But the Ford sold for $350,000. This one at 175 is basically exactly half. The other one sold for 353, 50% of the price. I would say this is probably more than 50% of the car. So in terms of deals, though, I think the Ford is bigger, badder. It's, has more space, more features. Like you said, man, imagine you could drive that Ford, all day, clocking 1,000-mile day, and it would be great. You'd have cooled seats, you'd have Bang & Olufsen premium sound system, big screen, Apple CarPlay. It'd be awesome. Getting 600, 700, 800 miles in this thing in a day, that might be a tough. That might be.
That's a fair point.
That is.
But it's, again, this thing, for what it is, very respectable vehicle. It'll last forever. I mean, this thing's an 87. This thing will last forever. And that's a great point, Lars, that these things are pretty much bomb-proof. Yeah, I mean, besides finding the parts, that is the one silver lining that I didn't think of, which is a phenomenal point, Jeff. Phenomenal point.
Yeah.
But these things really, I mean, I would trust this. Like if the world was ending and
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
everyone run. I might
Yeah.
grab this. I might grab the keys to this thing, man. Honestly.
Well, I think when you talk about component failure, it's something dumb. Like I think there's a lot you could probably live with if it did fail. Like this would still be able to get you home, but it's more just when you start thinking about components that would be abused in an off-road environment and might be specific to this truck. Like I immediately go to like axles, right? Or tie rod ends or something like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but the axles will probably last. Those are probably like the one things that'll last forever.
That's
Well,
a
at
good
least
point.
these ones. Not in a sports
Yeah.
car, but
Let's see if this synced out. See if we can.
dude, whoa, 8 speed stick.
8-speed. Guys, do you think the people that are buying these, and we've talked about this with Bring a Trailer especially, do you think the people that are buying these are actually going to use these vehicles?
I don't know, man. This is a slim mark. I don't know who's buying this. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think it's wealthy people that have vacation homes in places like Jackson or Idaho or up in Montana, and they want to they're kind of bored with their $1 million or $2 million place, and they want to kind of take it to the next level maybe.
But
Have something
okay, good
cool.
point, John. Look, this guy though, they redid this in 17. He spent 32K on it.
Wait, miles or investment?
32,000 miles.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God! Look, he's dumping all of his cars.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Wait,
I saw that.
68 GT500 convertible. Dude, this guy's profile is crazy.
I thought 911R was like a consigner.
Oh, maybe it is. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, because he has 1,000 listings. Wow.
Yeah, I think he just hired people to list their vehicles on that.
Yeah, he does. He does a great job.
He does.
Yeah.
His
It
pictures are
is
phenomenal.
really funny looking at his current like auctions and his past like listings, and then you go to his auction wins, and it's like extremes. It's really funny.
Yeah.
No, this guy is sick. 770 mile 996 Carrera 4S 6-speed, 80 grand.
Yeah, but I mean, and people now come to him,
Really.
with their cars because they're just so confident in the results he's going to deliver. Because the presentation is good. Now I've seen some complaints about him that his photos are not easy to decipher in terms of like how polished everything is, but it hasn't hurt him yet.
And this is also one, and just looking at the comments too, this is something that people are like, yeah, it's a good deal. Like like there isn't that peanut gallery,
No.
Commentary on it. It's a pretty much like, yeah, awesome, cool, yeah, great deal.
Yeah, the Ford raised some questions, right? It made some people kind of dive into
That's a
that,
bit
but
more
this one-
extreme,
Yeah.
No, I also the Ford is a bit of like glamping, I guess you would say, whereas this is more hardcore.
Yeah, this thing's hardcore.
Like it's I think the buyer too. It's really, I think the person that's going to the Unimog is more hardcore in regards to their camping more, whereas maybe the person that's buying that Ford is like, it's a rich person. It's like, oh, this is something I should get into.
I mean, you basically nailed it because the guy, we're very respectfully to that corporate G. You're a corporate G, sir, if you're watching this.
Mhm.
But he's like the rich dude.
Yeah.
Or rich corporate guy, baller.
Exactly.
But this guy, he's a little bit more outdoorsy.
I think the Unimog 2, dare I say, has a little bit of the, and I think this is where it wins for me all the time. It had a little more of that upper crusty, old money vibe, which I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think at this level it matters. I think if you are the type that some weekends you're out in the wilderness, some weekends you're at the boat club on Nantucket, you're obnoxious enough to bring your Overlander to both places. You pull up in the Unimog, people are going to give you props. You pull up in the Ford, I mean, irrespective of the fact that it is worth more and far more involved in terms of the build, I think you get some cold hard stares. So again, you're in this world, the Unimog may help you facilitate conversations as opposed to being asked to leave. So
imagine bringing this to Nantucket.
Oh, it'd be hilarious.
Absolutely unbelievable.
You'd take up like half the ferry, just parking this thing higher. But again, who cares? That's what you can do at this level. And again, I think if you're someone who's spending six figures on an overland vehicle and really want to use it, you're going to say, nope, there's this awesome spot on an island somewhere, this hidden beach that only a few people know about. I want to use something for that purpose. And so I think it's like you can almost see like the two lifestyles here. Like I think it's the Midwest, the cattle farm, the cattle ranchers, whatever you want to call it, like that. Yeah, old money from Montana is buying the F series. Old money from New England is buying the Unimog. So anyway, not that any of that matters. It's just I think it's interesting how sometimes this boils down to lifestyle choice. Whereas for the Sprinter, it's actually kind of perfect to be parked in Palm Beach with the future version of Lars and myself, who are in their linen Tommy Bahama shirts and their loafers and just grilling, talking about the game, something like that. Yeah,
I love that, man. I really do. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
so
sad.
I think this is cool. I mean, these are fun to dream about for sure. I think for me, it's the Unimog. It's tough to not look at that F series. I mean, this thing is just. I mean, this is an incredible build.
Wait, click on those photos of him actually. Go up, where he's actually wheeling it, like the desert ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, scroll through those a little bit. I mean, yeah, dude. Wow. See, you can't do that in the Sprinter. You can do that in the Unimog, though, for sure.
You could, but
wow. Again. See, I mean, this guy is getting serious with that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Imagine all the plates and shit, though. All your toothpaste, your toiletries. You left a glass of water out. I mean, like that is crazy, dude. Wow, I love that. You know what? Fuck it. That's my winner.
That's your winner.
But for realism purposes, the Unimog is my winner.
The Mog. You gotta go with the Mog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just such an impressive piece of kit to begin with. And then you do something like that too, and it just makes it even better.
Yeah, that's valid.
And you bank that money and you can build a little log cabin somewhere. Probably not. But it's fun to think about. Anyway, well, gentlemen, thank you as always. This has been a fun one. This is probably more than some of the other ones we've done. This one really stokes the fantasies a little bit as far as what's possible with a vehicle. So I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. This has been the commongear.com podcast. And if you're undertaking a build of epic proportions, we hope that you'll visit our site and log your updates, track your progress, and share with the community. And that way, when it comes time to sell one of these bad boys and bring a trailer, there's absolutely no question as to the scale of the build or the investment you've made. As we've seen here with this builder, people loved what they saw and it didn't really leave any doubt that it was worth the money that was being spent. So do it now. When you're halfway through a build, don't try to catch up later. Store it all on the commongear.com and we'll help you bring home that massive sale price when the time comes. John and Lars, thank you for joining as always, and we will be back here next week.